So I looked up the meaning of self on Google.
Right.
Right? And it says so self means, I think it was a noun or a verb. Can't remember.
I would expect they would call it a noun.
And it said a person's essential being that distinguishes them from others, especially considered as the object of introspection or reflective action. Does that definition, I look for like, the essential Stewart, the essence of Stewart, and I consider that myself, right?
Yeah.
I've sort of, the more I've talked to people, and yourself as well, there's almost a conclusion that there really isn't one, per se, right? Is that correct?
An essence to Stewart.
I connect the purest, happiest, most pure form of Stewart, right? And I think of that as myself. And anytime that, not as extreme as this, but I'm not loyal to that, I feel like I'm not being myself. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now I know you adapt and stuff, but there's always a consistent, for me, a consistent Stewart that makes the decision to do certain things. But do you sort of feel that, well, that's good, bad, disappointing or not for me, do you think that doesn't really exist per se?
I don't think yourself. All right, let's be absolutely clear. There is a self in the sense that you can say things like, I'm not myself today, but yourself is not a thing the way your brain is a thing or your heart is a thing. It's more a set of dispositions, habits, memories, plans, which are, if you're asking someone like me, I would say these are things that you have in virtue of your having the brain that you have plus the experiences. Yourself is the combination of your brain having the hardware that it's got plus the experiences that it's had, and then on the basis of those two things together you have habits and memories and experiences, and then plans and projects, things that you would like to do. You've got a self in that sense, but it's not a thing.
So within the brain, what makes a brain alive, say, right? But there's all that activity and the out and stuff, but what is experiencing those things happening? That is so interesting to me. What is that?
Well, if you speak to the philosophers and the cognitive scientists, they would say that's the hard problem. We're perfectly happy saying that you have a brain. We're pretty happy with the idea that we know the basic architecture of the brain, in the sense that the basic anatomy of the brain, we think we've got fairly well mapped. We think we know the physiology of the brain, in the sense that we know what the little bits of the brain are doing, in the sense of sending messages back and forth from one part of a set of neurons to another. What we don't understand yet, and there are some who say we will never be able to understand this, so this is one of the big divides in philosophy of mind and cog sci generally, is whether we're ever going to be in a position to understand how a brain can be aware of itself. So if I take a camera, right, you've got a camera here, in a sense it's able to see things the way the back of your eye can see things, because it's sensitive to patterns of light in its surrounding. But your camera is not aware of the fact that it's picking up these patterns of, right? Your eye, the back of your eye, is very much like the camera in reacting entirely naturally, picking up certain patterns in the light around it. But at some point, that pattern of physical stimulation on the retina gets converted into chemical energy, which then gets transmitted in complex ways through your brain, but eventually it's no longer just brute physical processes. You're aware that you're seeing something. We don't know how that works.
Is then the experiencing of an evolution, and further in humans is the self, I don't know what the word is, but is that an evolution of the brain?
If you had a brain that was not able to connect to your muscles to get you to do things, you would have a brain that is essentially asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what your brain is like when it's asleep, is that the connections to your motor functions are.
And is there conscious in there? What's conscious?
Well, there seems to. I mean, if you want to say you're conscious when you're having a dream, and you seem to be having experiences, you believe that they're true very often if they're vivid dreams. So I don't think anybody tends to deny that you're conscious while you were dreaming. You are experiencing things, definitely. But the crucial thing about the dream state is that the connection between information coming in and then the generation of an output has been cut. It's been severed. Which is just as well, because if you start to act on the basis of your dreams, the reality is not what your dreams take it to be. You're not going to act well.
Let's take that notion and go into dreams, right? So when you fall asleep, the part of your mind that controls action is turned off.
It's turned off.
So
the
that's
connections. The connection.
Yeah, the connection's switched off, right?
Yeah. At some level, some part of you, some personally, is saying, okay, hang on a sec, this guy's he's going to sleep mode. Break that connection to the muscles. We don't want him acting out on the basis of what he thinks is going on here. That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Incidentally, this is why the dream argument is of absolutely no interest in real life. Right? Only philosophers will be interested in this. Because nature has taken care of it. When you're dreaming, you can't act.
Mm-hmm.
That's what your brain's for, to mediate between inputs and outputs.
Mm-hmm.
So you can believe whatever the bloody hell you want while you're dreaming. No one gives a rat's ass because you're not going to act on it. So
but that's interesting though, because I would argue though that I've been sort of, when I was doing my dream journal, I attempted to sort of meditate more and keep a dream diary. And what started to happen was I wasn't gaining outer world knowledge per se. I was noticing inward trends.
Right.
Which I suppose has sort of led to here and asking you this. So by paying attention to that more, actually, not like I don't have a dream with primary school. It's like I must enroll in primary school again. Do you know what I mean? It's just being aware of that. I think I found anyway, quite profound knowledge inwardly. I just, in that state, you don't take the distraction of too much information from the world. Not that the world gives you false information, it's just
there's too much.
There's too much, and in that state, something's happening there. And as you say, the brain shuts the action down, so the brain also knows something's happening. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a profound experience. We don't understand it, but it's profound. And as you say, it's not just, I was reading about this, there was experiments where like mice, what happens when they don't sleep, and it's like capacity to learn new memories and kills you, basically. So whatever the fuck is happening there, I think is a key to something. I don't know what it's a key for, but it's a very interesting thing I found anyway. Do you think there's anything in that?
I don't know what the hell dreams are for. I don't know. I know there's a lot of work being done on it at the moment, and like you say, we know certain things. Like if you don't sleep, you're going to die fairly quickly. It looks as though dreaming seems to be part of a healthy brain. You don't get dream time. You're going to have detrimental effect. They certainly can't prove any scientific theories to be true.
Well, that's the thing as well, is that I guess why it's more philosophy, I think, as well, where it's like, I think that they probably will find the scientific meaning of dreams. But that's not to say that takes the magic away from it, if you know what I mean. That's not to say that you can't. Is there here's a question for you: is there a science to the unconscious?
I would say yes. I would just say it's your brain.
Also, it's completely not different from any of the rest of this.
I don't think there's an unconscious. I just think it's your brain.
Right.
I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on in your brain that never rises to the level of consciousness. That's what your unconscious is. My brain is responsible for keeping my liver functioning and my heart going.
But there's this sort of this idea of like the good and bad side to life and nature. None of it's inherently good or bad, but there feels polar opposites in emotions, right? Do emotions have opposites? You know what I mean? You don't get like a liver with like, but you know what I mean, with like a dark side. But there's this concept of the duality of man, you know. You get what I'm saying?
The dark side of my liver. Yeah. One thing though, I don't know if you know this about, dreams have been useful in the past from a scientific point of view, but because they've suggested theories that have eventually been borne out.
Sure.
Do you know about Kikull and the origin of the theory of the molecule?
No, because I was thinking James Cameron and Terminator. But yeah, that's good too.
The guy who dreamt up the idea of the molecule got the basic idea in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Does that suggest anything about dreams? I don't know, but it's a bit like your suggestion where you had a dream. On the basis of that, you were able to act in a productive way.
Mm-hmm.
He had a dream. It suggested something to him. I don't think there's any reason to think that to be skeptical about that. I think you can get good ideas from anywhere. Whether that gives us a theory about what dreaming is for, or the general meaning of dreams, I think is another matter.
I think it's that sort of the mystical element where it's like, yeah, I don't believe that your dreams give you sort of like, knowledge of the future and stuff. I think it's just it's for me, what it appears to be from what I've seen is that it's just basically the brain. It's like the secretary filing all the work, and part of your awareness, the experience is you can't. That doesn't seem to completely turn off. Even streamless sleep is a different experience. I still kind of experience something, So I don't think it has inherent meaning. It is just, and it's more than just a throw up, but it's like a danger room. You go into a danger room. They talk about this in Prehistoric Man. Would dream of fighting animals and stuff like that. It would be getting ready for that in a sense. So I believe part of it's a hangover. So it's that hangover of preparing, meeting the processing of just you. You don't need to think about bills or Eileen coming in and talking. It's okay. It's all completely chill in here, and you're viewing that happening, and it's odd. And how you respond to it can teach you also something about yourself, possibly. But
Sorry, Matt gets the lolly.
Can I get a few off you?
Of course you can.